There we go. One of the reasons I wanted to start with intros is just so everybody knows kind of the different roles that we have at TSPA in case you have questions along the way after this. These are the folks who can answer your questions. I'm more around community, Kaofeng and Crystalline are people who do things like registration. They can answer questions about exhibits, things like that. And Amanda and Charlotte have been organizing the program. So that's kind of how we're divided. Of course, you can come to any of us, but just wanted to let you know. We are going to kick off with sharing a little bit about different aspects of TrustCon, and then we will open it up to questions. This is a pretty casual session. It's really here. We want to be here to answer your questions. So Crystalline is going to kick it off with a little bit about registration, and then I'll dive into the agenda and social events. Amanda and Charlotte, feel free to weigh in on things like programming, and then we will kind of open it up to any questions from you all. Take it away, Crystalline.
I am happy to get started. So before we get started on registration, I just wanted to give a few reminders about the location. So we will be at the Hyatt Regency San Francisco. And to make matters even more confusing, there are several Hyatt Regency San Francisco, or at least Hyatt Regencies in San Francisco. So I will drop the link in the chat to the website and the address for the hotel. We are right across from the Embarcadero station and near the San Francisco Bay Ferry and all sorts of things. So I'll drop that in the chat as well. If you're traveling to the Hyatt Regency via ground transportation, which we suggest, we are about 2 blocks away. The Hyatt Regency is about 2 blocks away from a BART station, and it services the red, green, blue, and yellow lines. And if you're coming from the airport, it also services SFO and the Oakland Airport. We're also close to the San Francisco Bay Ferry and the San Francisco bus as well. And of course, there's taxis and ride shares available as well. If you do decide to forgo ground transportation and drive to the hotel, to the venue, hotel parking is a little steep at $80 a day. So just want to keep that in mind. And a quick note about our hotel block. Our hotel block is currently full, but the hotel does still have some availability, but it will be at a higher rate. If you're looking for affordable lodging, we suggest that you check TripAdvisor or something similar, as we want to make sure that you're in a safe area. And we are close, the hotel is close to the financial district and lots of other great districts. So you're welcome to, reach out to us if you have any questions as well. So now I'll get into registration, the fun part. So what to expect? We will host our pre-registration in the atrium, and the atrium is on the 3rd floor of the hotel, which is like the lobby level, on Monday afternoon. We will send out an email with official timing of the event, but it'll probably be late afternoon, sometime between either 4 to 6 or 5 to 7. We are still working on that, on the timing, but we will definitely send that over to all the participants. In addition, during the pre-registration, you'll receive your name badge, your lanyard, and this is a great way to, of course, meet us and other participants that'll be coming in the next day, and a good way to bypass registration on Tuesday morning. And general registration will start Tuesday morning promptly at 7:30 a.m. in the Grand Ballroom foyer. So the Grand Ballroom foyer is actually on the 1st floor of the hotel. So when you come through the main entrance, we will be directly to the left side when you walk in. We'll have lots of directional signage, volunteers, and you probably won't be able to miss us. So we'll be right on the 1st floor. And that is also where breakfast will be held, or in that area. So we'll also have, and that'll also be where the Grand Ballroom is for all of our plenary sessions on the 1st floor. So you won't be able to miss us at all. So in addition to that, I just want to talk about the registration deadline quickly. So if you haven't registered yet, or you have a friend who's like, oh, I'm coming, but I'm not sure, make sure they register before next Friday, June 30th. We are slowly creeping towards sellout, which is, exciting, yet a little scary for us. So we encourage everyone to register as soon as possible. Or if you have an emergency that comes up and you need to swap your registration for a colleague, now is a great time to reach out to us. So I'll also drop our information in the chat to contact us as well. And we'll also do refunds through Friday, June 30th as well. So, and then my last note, I have two more things. I'll talk briefly about food. We will, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be offering breakfast through the event, but we'll also be offering lunch and coffee tea services throughout the day. And then just a quick note about health and safety. We do understand that, COVID-19 concerns vary from person to person. So we wanted you to do what's best for you when considering coming to this event. So we will not require masks at this event, but if you do decide to wear a mask, we definitely welcome and encourage it. And we will also have masks at the registration table. So now I'm going to kick it back to Maggie, who will talk a little bit about the agenda and networking opportunities.
Yeah. And just a reminder, if you have questions, go ahead and stick them into the Q&A box. And I just double checked, it is open. So if you want to stick them there, we can go ahead and answer them. Okay, agenda. So the agenda is live. If you go to TrustCon.net, the agenda is under the program tab. And you will be able to see all the wonderful sessions that we have. There's different types of sessions, which I wanted to just quickly mention. And also, as somebody who attended TrustCon last year, I did not work at TSPA last year, so I was an attendee. It can be a little overwhelming to just look at a really long list of amazing sessions and figure out which ones you want to go to. And I found it really helpful to kind of assess along the way. So I made a plan for myself. This is what I generally want to go to this, first day. And then I would check in at lunch and try to figure out like, okay, do I want to like change my schedule? Same thing with, I would kind of look in the morning again and just check in with myself on like, okay, these are a lot of amazing sessions. I had planned to go to all of these, but I can't go to all of them. So maybe, double checking with yourself like every day rather than putting pressure on yourself to like optimize your schedule. It's a lot of sessions. And it sounds kind of silly to say, but it can be kind of stressful to like figure out which ones you want to go to. If you are attending with someone, you can also kind of like divide and conquer, obviously, on which sessions to go to. Back when I was going to conferences at my old job, I used to do that with my team. So that's like another pro tip on if you're newer to conference going. I wanted to cover the different types of sessions that we have. So there are a couple of different types of sessions. One is plenary. So for those of you who are not familiar with a plenary, that is a session that does not have any other sessions at the same time. So that will be the only session at its time. We'll have panels. Probably most people are familiar with panels of a group of speakers on one topic. We have individual presentations. There will be workshops, which as a note on workshops, they do require sign up. So if you're looking at the agenda and you're excited about workshops, workshop signups are open. So you are able to register for those now. And I would definitely recommend checking those out sooner than later, because I know some of them will fill up pretty quickly. And then last but not least, we've got lightning talks. So lightning talks will be all in one room. So there'll be like a group of 5 at once. They're shorter sessions. So if you look at the agenda, you'll see like, boardroom B, or let me look at actually the Seacliff D is one of the rooms that lightning talks are on. You'll see a bunch of different lightning talks in the same room at the same time. On the agenda, it can look a little bit like they're like each an hour long, but they're actually each 10 minutes long, but they all occur in the same room. So just a note on lightning talks. Anything else on the agenda, Charlotte or Amanda, that you would like to highlight up front?
I'll just add to your tips around like schedule overwhelm.
Mhm.
Are going to be recording a lot more sessions this year. So I want to talk a little bit about like what it means to be a virtual participant in TrustCon, and then also how you can use that to sort of structure your own in-person time. So some of you were at TrustCon last year, either in person or virtually. And so, we did this like round the clock model where there were like one live virtual session every day. And then there was like some like quick follow recording. And it's really complex to do it that way, especially for a first year conference, we learned. But we also heard in the survey feedback from last year from virtual participants that they actually just wished more had been recorded. They didn't find as much value in the live sessions, but were like, I really wanted to like hear more from all this other stuff on the agenda, but you were only recording in one room. So this year, what we're doing is we have no live virtual, right? There's no Zoom you're going to log into and have like a live conversation. Instead, what we're trying to do is record a lot more of the sessions to have those available for you after the event. So if you are a virtual participant, you can expect recordings from the sessions that were allowed to be recorded by the presenters, which we'll get to in a second. You can expect those in probably the next 2 weeks following TrustCon. This is our first year actually as a team uploading those recordings ourselves and making sure they're edited properly. So really appreciate your patience with us as we figure that out. Having just run TrustCon, we had to go back into the office and be like, all right, how do I get this uploaded? But we will get it up for you. We are not recording all sessions. There are some sessions that the presenters or the speakers have said they would prefer not to have recorded. We are going to be noting that on the agenda so you know sort of what to expect. That's going to help obviously virtual participants know like, hey, what am I going to see? But that can also help in-person attendees know if there's 2 sessions, you're just like, oh, I can't pick, but you know that one's going to be recorded. That could help you pick because everyone who's attending in person will also have access to those virtual recordings after the event. So that's just something for you to know.
I was also going to note quickly that actually all of our workshops are already full, but they have wait lists. So workshops are completely at capacity already. Folks have registered for them. We have 12 workshops this year, but we expect to have 700 to 800 attendees. So you can sign up to be on a wait list for a workshop. If you signed up for a workshop and you're not going to actually attend, please remove your registration so you make space for someone else because those do have limited capacity.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. Okay. The last thing I wanted to cover before we get to a couple of questions is on networking and social events. So we have a bunch of different, we have about 12 different after TrustCon, or sorry, after hours, like after programming, social events. They're called Birds of a Feather. You should be able to sign up for them starting later today. You'll get an email if you have registered to remind you to go and sign up for them. They're really cool events. They're put on by different companies and individuals, not TSPA staff. So they're optional, totally optional socializing opportunities. And we have some really cool ones this year. So I would recommend checking those out. So that is one opportunity. There'll be a couple of opportunities throughout the day at TrustCon. So if you are attending solo, there'll be some, well, this is open to anybody, but I would really recommend this for anyone who is either a first-time attendee or someone who may be attending without an entourage or a big crew with them. There will be topic tables at lunchtime, and those will be kind of semi-hosted. There'll be people at them who are kind of in charge of running them, and they will cover different topics, including things like I'm new to trust and safety, or, I'm interested in misinformation, but there'll be also some that are a little bit more like, I really like dogs and cats, or some other more lighthearted, non-work related tables. So that will be an opportunity for you to meet new people if you're attending solo. I can answer this one live. I'll actually answer this one right now. There's a question coming in about link to sign up for Birds of a Feather events. So that is going live later today. You'll actually do it through registration. So you'll log back in to registration and add a Birds of a Feather event. So it's not quite live yet, but it will be live today. You can see the list of Birds of a Feather if you go to trustcon.net and you go to under programming, there is a section called networking events, and that will show the list of Birds of a Feather events. The other thing that I wanted to mention, we know that a lot of folks are job hunting right now. And so when you go to sign it, or when you go to check in, there will be stickers, optional stickers that you can use for your badges that say, I'm job hunting or I'm hiring. So if you do have actually open roles, this worked really well at an event we just hosted in EMEA. You can add a sticker to your badge indicating that you are hiring. That could be your team is hiring, that could be you're the hiring manager. It's basically, you know, so you're open to talking to somebody about a role that's within your org. And then there'll be stickers for people who are job hunting as well. I think that was, one other thing that I wanted to mention is we have our coffee hours program. So the coffee hours program that we have that is available all year, we will be doing a live version of that at TrustCon during lunch. There'll be a couple of sessions per lunch hour. So if you are interested in that, that will be live sign up. So you'll just head to the area where coffee hours are. There'll be more information about that at TrustCon. There'll be signs and stuff. So just head over there and there'll be some live opportunities to do coffee chats. Okay, I think that is all that we wanted to cover live. We've got a couple of questions. Feel free to add more questions to the question box. One is on dress code. Amanda, did you want to take this one?
Sure, we just had this question in our speakers know before you go, so I am prepared. So the question we got in the speakers know before you go was, is it fancy New York or chill San Francisco? You should dress however you want to dress that makes you feel comfortable and confident. However, it is on the West Coast, so it is much more probably chill San Francisco. You know, t-shirts, hoodies, this type of thing. As Charlotte noted, we will be in a hotel. They will most likely be running air conditioning. So you might want to bring something in case you get chilly to make sure you have layers. But if you feel great in a three-piece suit, then wear a three-piece suit. You know, it's really up to you, but definitely the West Coast is more chill and relaxed in general.
Great. And then there's a question about assessing funding and scholarship requests for reduced tuition fee.
I can talk a little bit about this. So one question is, this is a very useful session. Thank you. No, you are super busy with planning. Also accurate. But are you still assessing funding or scholarship requests for reduced admission fee? All right, here's the deal on scholarships. We allocated a bunch of, so I'm going to give you the short answer, which is we're out of money. I'm going to give you the long answer, which is we allocated a bunch of money up front to make sure we could do financial assistance this year, just because of what's going on in our industry and folks with either losing their job or losing their budget, or, you know, just a variety of things. If you have not heard back on your scholarship request, first of all, check your spam, because we did have an issue where Ilea, our membership manager, who's been doing a lot of the scholarship conversations, she was getting marked as spam. She was actually getting marked as spam as in my inbox. I was offended. Thanks, TSPA.org. But you may have a communication in there. And especially if you got a scholarship, we need to hear from you, because if you are going to use it, we got to make that arrangement. If you're not going to use that, obviously that's money we could then allocate to somebody else. And there is still a lot of demand. We also have a sponsorship this year supporting scholarships. And we are going to be thanking them at TrustCon. We have, if you are local to TrustCon and you want a free ticket and you are willing to be a volunteer, we do have a couple more spots for local volunteers. We aren't able to offer additional lodging support at this time, but if you're like, dang, I really need that discounted to free ticket, and you're sort of local to the San Francisco Bay Area, let's talk, because we can put you to work, and then you'll be able to attend.
Great. There's a question about, when do you expect to send info to volunteers? Whoops. Oh,
that's a great question too. I don't have the exact date for this, and Ilea probably does, and I think she's on this call as an attendee listening in, so she can tell me if I'm wrong. I believe we are trying to finalize the volunteer lineup in the next few days, because we do have to kind of get you all registered before that deadline, make sure that, for those of you who are getting a hotel, that you have that squared away, and critically, so you can plan your own involvement. Ilea is going to be following up with information on what to expect on that timeline.
Great. And this one, hello, everyone. Hello. How and when are we going to get notified when we're on a wait list for a workshop? Great session, by the way. Thanks. Amanda, I think this one might be for you.
That is a great question. And my answer is, I need to check Swoogo, the platform we're using, because it is actually news to me that it did not let you know that you were on a wait list when you registered. Because I believe when you go to register, it should say this is at capacity. Do you want to be put on a wait list? And if that is not happening, I need to talk to the Swoogo folks, because that's you should know when you register. It should tell you that okay, the UI shows that you must waitlist yourself. Great, good to thank you, anonymous attendee, for coming through for me in my moment of panic.
To a community.
So, right, you should know if you're on a wait list, and then if you get moved off of a wait list, it should tell you as well. If it doesn't, you can always reach out to us at TrustCon at tspa.org.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have a few more audience plant type questions that we've gotten either in our email that I think that attendees will want to know, or from the speaker session we were just doing. One question that we actually got a lot last year too is, will there be a place to like do some work at TrustCon? It's a 3-day event this year. All of us have like full-time jobs, or most of us have full-time jobs, like keeping the world safe online. And so we really recognize that it's hard to be at a conference for the full set of hours of sessions and still be on call. We are going to have a few places that you can either do your work or take meetings. There is going to be one boardroom set aside for attendee meetings. That's going to be kind of first come, first serve on a sign up basis. But if you realize, oh, I got to get like a few people together and we have to have like a private closed door meeting, we will have at least one sort of boardroom space available for that during the conference. We also have something called the recharge room, which is one session room we set aside specifically for you to just go and get some work done. There's going to be power, there's going to be power strips, plugs. We're going to have like the American style adapters for your MacBook cords. If you like show up at TrustCon and you're like, shoot, I forgot to get the adapt, we might be able to help you with that. But the whole point of the recharge room is like, that is a place you can just plunk on down and do whatever you need to do. There's no judgment about working at this conference. We are also going to have a handful of privacy pods where you can sort of seal yourself in phone booth style if you need to take an audio meeting, because the recharge room is a quiet room. So there's a few options for you. We think it's especially important if you're not staying on site to have those options. Obviously, if you have a hotel room at the Hyatt and you're able to go to your room to work, you are welcome to do that. That's your own personal recharge room, but we will have that available. Another question near and dear to my heart is, will there be a pumping room? And the answer is yes, because I have pumped at a conference before as a mom, and we're not going to make anybody sit on the floor at TrustCon to do that. That's not what we do. So there is a pumping room. You can expect a place to sit, a place to plug in. We're gonna have some fridges. We're gonna have, the Boone bottle brush set with the cactuses. We treat you right here. It is not gonna have a sink, and so just know it's gonna be near a sink, but you'll have to go around to kind of do the washing. And that's the status until we hear differently from the hotel. We've asked if we can get a different setup, but we'll see. Someone else did ask whether they're going to be able to, oh, hang on, I'm sorry, I lost this. My chat popped up. Oh, yeah, someone asked about dietary restrictions. We should know if you have registered what your dietary restrictions are. That's another reason we really have to have you registered by the 30th. If you have specific requirements, definitely make sure we know that in advance so we can let the culinary team on site know.
Great. Got another question. Just like TSP happy hour, where there'll be indications that people are willing or unwilling to be photographed. Love this question. Yes, there will be. There will be, I think these are coming through stickers. Yes, correct me if I'm
We're
wrong.
actually going to do lanyard color.
Lanyard,
So if you
right.
were TrustCon last year, you may remember the whole lanyard situation. I just counted lanyards downstairs to see how many we have from last year. So if you do not wish to be photographed, so first of all, we do our very best with photography and with videography to make sure that people who do not wish to have their image taken don't get their image taken. The reality is, of course, that like in a big crowd setting, it is possible that our videographer is going to do a pan and there's someone way in the back who's got what? A red lanyard. So the red lanyard is the way that we know we can't use this footage, or we're going to make sure that someone's face is obscured, whatever it is. And that we want to make sure is visible sort of from all angles to sort of be the cue for our official videography and photography. It's a restriction we also ask our guests, obviously, to respect as well. So if you are taking like cool, candid photos of you and your whole crew at TrustCon, and there's someone with a red lanyard in that photo, do not post that photo. Don't take that photo. If you can avoid it, that's what the red lanyard means. We also have another important color to know on lanyards, and that is yellow. Yellow lanyards are being worn by press. So this entire conference is off the record formally, but there will be press in attendance. They are allowed to ask you if you want to go on the record for something. You don't have to. And if, if you're a speaker, actually, a number of the speakers have just said like, hey, this session, it isn't open to press. So we're using that lanyard color to identify when someone can or can't be in a session. And it's just so you as attendees have comfort on like, you can have a conversation and not worry like, hey, someone lurking, like, you know who everybody is. If they're a reporter, they got that yellow lanyard on.
And I'll just add that we'll also be wearing orange, and the volunteers, staff and volunteers will be wearing orange lanyards. So if you have questions throughout the conference and you see one of us, you're welcome to, pull us to the side.
Awesome.
And I'll also add that I just popped the link to our privacy and confidentiality policy that we have for TrustCon. It's a webpage on our website, but I also just linked it to the answered page. So if you check that out there, it goes more in depth about our expectations around privacy and confidentiality. And if there's any questions that anyone has about any of that, don't hesitate to let us know.
Fantastic. One question that I keep getting the last couple of days is whether we'll be able to hang out at TrustCon. We know all of you from like chat and different events. And then it's funny because we're going to this big conference where we will be there and so will you. And it might be our first opportunity to meet. And we would absolutely love to chat with you. There are two opportunities that I can tell you right away that will be good opportunities to chat. One is our welcome event on the 11th. That reception is for everyone, and we will be there hanging out with you. The next one would be Trust Camp. So I will be hosting an event on the 12th called Trust Camp. It'll be happening after hours. And it is going to be an opportunity to like eat dessert with me and play card games and Wavelength. If anybody, thanks to TikTok, Wavelength blew up. So I'll be bringing that. We'll be doing some different fun things. So those are two really definite opportunities to chat with us. Otherwise, we'll probably be like running around and things will be a little bit more unpredictable because we'll be hosting the event. So we would love to say hi. And also it might be a quick hello or a last minute lunch for 5 minutes. But we're really, really looking forward to seeing all of you.
One thing I'll note about Trust Camp as well is that is by design a no alcohol event. So if you're looking at a bunch of the birds of a feather and are like, these seem cool, but I am not drinking, come to Trust Camp because we aren't either. So it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, we won't be drinking till after.
We'll save that for our hotel rooms later. JK.
All right. I don't see any other questions coming in, but I just wanted to give it a couple minutes in case people are working up their nerve to ask a question or thinking like last second, I was about to hang up and now I do have a question.
I can continue answering questions that nobody in this room asked, but I know we have gotten, because that's like all my inbox is right now. It's like, here's a question. So one thing that people do want to know is like, okay, who else is coming? And that's an extremely valid question. In general, you can expect the audience to be primarily trust and safety professionals. We're the association for that. It's our conference, so that's what that is. But it's really all different like ranges of seniority. TrustCon is designed to be a place where it's like for you if you are a frontline analyst, it is for you if you are a senior vice president of like safety and stuff. So you can expect just a lot of variance in terms of who's there. We think it is important that everybody in all these different kinds of jobs get the chance to meet each other and get the chance to get perspectives from each other. So, if you are a frontline analyst, please don't come to TrustCon worried that you're going to like, oh, I'm going to be surrounded by these like head honchos. And what do I do? Like, nope, that's on purpose. And that's for you. Similarly, I guess if you're a head honcho, be cool, right? Like that's something we would advise. TrustCon is an incredible place to like build connections with people that you are going to want to have connections with for the rest of your career in trust and safety. We do not have an official like, sometimes, with the conference app, you have like this like bump your phones and you're going to get to connect. We don't have that functionality. So we're going to encourage you to use LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. That seems pretty standard for folks. Sometimes people want to know, should I bring business cards? If you have business cards, absolutely. Reminds me that we need to order business cards, probably. But that's like not too formal. That's totally appropriate here. We do have a question here saying, for those of us who will have a booth, will we be able to get access to the convention hall to set up the day before, or should we be prepared to set up early Tuesday morning? Love a good booth question. Kao Feng, do you have a good answer for this? I think I know the answer, but I think you know the answer.
So for those who have an exhibit booth, I've been communicating with the main contact of when you can set up, but generally they're daily exhibits. And so you have the option of setting up the night before. The timing is a little bit different depending on the day that you are doing it. But if you are doing it on day one, then your day before time is like around 4 to 6. If you are doing it the day 2 and 3, then your night before time setup is between 7 and 8. You can also set up the morning of. So exhibits starts at 8 o'clock. So you have between 7 to 8. You also will need to break down at the end of the day between 5 and 6 because exhibits run from 8 till 5. And so if you are no longer exhibiting the next day, then you do have an hour to break down. But if you have more questions around like more specific questions, have whoever I've been talking to connect with me because we'll go through all those details because there's quite a lot to that they need to know for their booths.
And we just got a recommendation through our Q&A box for digital business cards. So I posted it in the chat.
There you go.
Speaking of apps and connecting with people, so we do have an app that we will be doing, and so you'll have access to it. We're still finalizing the details of it, and I kind of want to test it before I tell y'all to download it. But once we get that ready, we'll send an email out to everyone. Expect a lot of emails from us going forward. So between now and then, for those of you who are registered, we'll send an email directly through the registration system. So you'll get an email from us with instructions on all sorts of things, including how to download the app. And that will give you a lot of information about the conference itself, the sessions. I think you'll be able to build your own session. So earlier we were talking about that huge list of programming. So you can, for those of you who want to be prepared, you can go through and like create your own agenda, and that way you'll know which sessions you want to go to. And then for those who are like, I'm just going to do whatever I feel like on that day, you can do that as well.
So we are going to be, this isn't live on the agenda yet, but we are going to be adding a little guidance on like what sort of tracks or themes exist. So that is another way that you can sort of build your own agenda. Full transparency, it's not on the website yet because there's kind of a bug with that particular feature in this. This is all, you pick like a third-party scheduling system, and then you all know, like you figure out the bugs with that particular system, and that's what we're up against right now. But you will have a little additional guidance on like, hey, I'm new to trust and safety. Like, what are some recommended sessions? I'm really interested in regulation. Like, what do you have for me? We're going to have those kinds of themes available for you to kind of get some guidance.
Any other questions?
I think the only other thing I'll add is Kirsten talked a little bit about this at the beginning in her intro, but for registration, we are expecting quite a few of you. And so we are doing pre-registration the Monday afternoon. So if you are around, that might be a good time to skip the long line on Tuesday morning. So you can come early and get your name badges and all of that before Monday. But registration will start 7:30 bright and early on Tuesday morning. So you can come there, but expect long lines.
And listen, when we say 7:30, we do mean 7:30. We were like, well, make it at 8. And then we were like, oh, 7:30, because people always show up half an hour early. And I know some of you are going to be like, 7 a.m., here I come. We can't guarantee we're going to be ready at 7 a.m. So 7:30, please, is when we start, unless you're here to help as a volunteer, in which case we'll see you so much earlier than 7:30.
I was going to say, if you show up before 7:30, we'll put you to work.
We joke, but actually we might. There's a lot going on in registration. So something I love about the trust and safety community, everyone can pitch in, right? Everyone knows.
What time does pre-registration end on Monday?
So we're still figuring out the timing, but it'll probably be a 2-hour event. So either like 4 to 6 or 5 to 7.
Yeah, and that'll be on the agenda page once that's finalized.
And just a quick note about registration on Tuesday morning, probably the peak time will probably be that 30 minutes before the plenary session starts. So we would probably suggest getting there earlier. If you can't attend the Monday pre-reg, getting there, between 7:30 and 8 will probably be the quickest to get your lanyard and other items.
We got a question on Trust Camp. I'm just popping the link into the chat. So if you head to that link, it's on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m.
And that's going to be a real casual. So that is open. Obviously, if you're not doing another Birds of a Feather, it's also open to you if you're like doing another Birds of a Feather, but you like leave for that early, or you leave that later, you come back early. Like we're hosting that in the atrium just so it's like an easy place for folks to land if they feel like doing a little socializing.
All right, we got another question. If we're arriving later in the day, will registration be available?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. Registration is going to be open. So we'll have the registration table open pretty much the entire time, because it's also to some degree doubling as our information desk. So if you obviously arrive day one, 7:30 a.m., that registration desk is going to be pretty much only registration, but it's also where you can wander by on, like day 3 at, 3 p.m. and say, hey, how do I get to the airport again? Like, that's probably where we're going to be able to help you. And we will have, we'll almost always have one member of staff there, but then we will also have a bunch of volunteers there who can help you.
Did we talk about, sorry, I feel like there's so much information that I'm forgetting what we talked about. Did we talk about public transportation to the hotel?
Yes.
Oh, we did. Okay, great.
Just at the beginning.
Awesome. There's lots of public transportation to the hotel, and the BART is right next door. So y'all should be good.
Yeah.
And FYI, if you haven't taken BART in a while or ever, they do allow you to do like the phone swipe. It's not as sophisticated, I would say, as some other country and cities' phone swipe systems. So maybe takes a couple times, but you don't necessarily have to have your like card out or buy a special card to use BART. One thing I will say is just general safety tips in San Francisco. My hometown. Look, folks, it's in the news. Everyone's got an opinion on San Francisco. The area that we've chosen for TrustCon is a really safe area. But like any major world city, we really recommend you be, alert and around, alert with your surroundings. You will see unhoused people in San Francisco. That is, something that again is a fact of life in many, many cities around the world. That is especially true in San Francisco. But this area is a standard San Francisco experience. You should feel comfortable using public transit. And, you know, BART in particular, BART allegedly, they've really washed recently. So that's a real good thing to know. I took it to go to the Hyatt, you know, a few months ago, and it was great. Totally normal experience. The area we're in also has pretty easy access to just other stuff you may need while you're in town. So we're a few blocks away from the pharmacy. You know, there's a little grocery store a couple of blocks away. We're right across from the ferry building. So if you're like, oh, I need to bring souvenirs, like, good news, we got you. There's a farmer's market that happens some days out there. So, you know, it's a pretty well connected area, and, you know, be alert as always, but it shouldn't be an area of concern where we are. Someone wants to know, does BART connect to the airport? Crystalline.
Yes, so yes, it does. I think, and I'm pretty sure the last time we were there, Calfang actually took it from SFO to the Hyatt Regency. So it does connect to both SFO Airport and the Oakland Airport. And the BART station, which is about 2 blocks away, it does service the red, green, yellow, and blue lines.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy from SFO. You just get on the AirTran, and then you get to the BART stop, and then it's just one line up. So it's actually really easy.
Yeah. And I believe it is, we should double check this, but I believe it's an accessible station, the Embarcadero station, because it's such a big one. So if you've got concerns there, we should double check, but like, I'm pretty sure you're covered. One thing about travel that reminds me, some of you may have bags you need to store, especially on the last day of the conference. The hotel does have capacity for that. They have like a dedicated bellhop station up in the atrium. So, you know, certainly check with the hotel, especially that day if you're not staying with the hotel, to make sure they have that capacity, but they should be able to help you out there. Okay. We do have one question. Can a company still sponsor a Birds of a Feather event? Maggie, you might be typing an answer.
Sorry, I was just typing an answer to this.
Yeah.
We are past the deadline for Birds of a Feather, so that we can open up registration so that people can attend. So unfortunately not, but hopefully maybe next year.
Yeah. So to say, anyone who is interested in either doing a Birds of a Feather next year or sponsoring next year, certainly email TrustCon@tspa.org, and we can put you on the list of when we do outreach for next year. We have details. We can get you included. Sponsorship is what makes this possible, and you'll see that as an attendee, right? You come in and we're going to have a big old sign that's like, hey, thank you to our sponsors. And we are a thank you to our sponsors. We're so grateful because they are the ones who are making it possible to feed over 600 of you in just a few weeks, and have that space and have, you know, sort of the amenities we have available. So, you know, certainly let us know if you are an organization or you're with an organization who would like to support the event sometime.
We'll also have opportunities to support our upcoming APAC Summit in October. So if you missed out on sponsoring TrustCon or other things, or you're wanting to support in some way, you can probably just email summits@tspa.org, and we can figure out if there's opportunities there. We aren't doing Birds of a Feather, I don't think there, but there might be other opportunities, and that's coming up. We don't have a final date, but it'll be the first couple of weeks in October. So that would be a sooner opportunity to engage as well. All right. Any other questions? We've gotten a lot of comments about how useful this session is. We were not sure if we were going to do this session because we weren't sure if it would be useful. And we're really happy that it has been useful.
I'm so impressed that we've still got 36 people on here. I'm like, wow, all right. I guess people wanted the session. Good.
We were like, maybe people will just check the website and no one will want to talk to us. But it turns out you guys all showed up and had great questions. So I'm really happy that we did it.
All right.
Okay, I think we're good. If you have any other questions, TrustCon@tspa.org is the right email to use. There's so many emails that I'm like, make sure I got the right one.
Like TrustCon related emails, actually. Yeah. Yes.
And also there is lots and lots of information on trustcon.net. So I would check there for sure. And thank you to everybody who showed up and asked questions, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
And stop recording.